Go from there. Hey,
With
so
our
we
brown
have
hair
Celeste. I know we've got the brown hair.
going on.
Yeah, so Celeste Flores here from Giving Tuesday. It's such a pleasure to be talking with you today. Thank you for taking the time to connect with me. I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Where are you based?
I'm in the DC area. I'm in Northern
Nice.
Virginia. Yeah, and originally from Texas.
hmm
But I live here now and love it. And I need to get myself to Michigan.
Yes, please come visit. We would love for you to visit us. Yeah. Victoria is rocking it over here, leading the charge in Michigan. She's been such a help for us. And for those of you who may not know, we are working on our first ever Grand Rapids Giving Day, which was inspired by Amplify Austin, which I believe you were really involved in
I
years ago.
was. Many, many years ago. It does feel like a lot of years ago, but then I catch myself still saying we. So I was at an organization called I Live Here, I Give Here is the name of the organization in Austin that started Amplify Austin 2015, I think. And I was there from the beginning and watched it grow until I then left Austin and moved on to the DC area. But it holds a special place in my heart. I love giving days.
Yeah, we do too. And really, I was connected to you through Chelsea Toller, who I met last year at South by Southwest. Her and Paris have been such great supports with us leading this initiative in West Michigan. And I would love for you to just share a little bit about how you all, as a group of women, put this amazing initiative together. As we have a group of women over here in Grand Rapids doing the same, we'd love to hear your inspiration and how you made it happen.
I love your story. And your origin story. And I love Chelsea and I'm so glad that she put us in contact. And yes, Chelsea was also on the Amplify Austin team. And we were a group of women who were actually I live here, I gave here the organization started by a woman, Patsy Woods Martin, who was the revolutionary visionary behind it. And then a couple of years into I Live Here, I Give Here, she thought of the Giving Day of Amplify Austin. And I don't even know if we knew the name at the time, but it then was a whole group and slew of women who were involved in the early days. And it was really driven behind with this passion for local giving and
Mhm.
giving where you live. And the organization was called I Live Here, I Give Here. And it was after a lot of studying and understanding why people maybe not getting involved and engaged in the Austin community as quickly as people had hoped. There was so many newcomers coming to Austin and, but also people who were from Austin and just didn't know what the needs of the community were,
Mhm.
how they could be a part of the philanthropy story of the area. And it came down to we have to make it easy, we have to communicate it, we have to story tell, and
Mhm.
we need to inspire. And I think women naturally do that. And so
Mhm.
it was originally just a group of with Patsy leadership thinking, how do we get use our megaphone, use our voice, and bring awareness to the organizations in the Austin community. And there are so many organizations, but it was about this idea of coming together as a community, being part of something bigger,
Yeah.
collective giving,
Mhm.
your $10 with my $10 and her $10 and his $10 are all going to come together and be able to provide more impact than I probably could have done alone. And it was about making it easy. And so giving days naturally provide this opportunity to not only celebrate who you are locally and
Mhm.
your flavor. And I love seeing the manifestations all over the country of what giving days look like. But it came down to putting 700 nonprofits eventually on the website and their profiles and their stories and amplifying that. And but working with those nonprofits to also uh, get the training they needed. That
Mhm.
was the other part was the capacity building that nonprofits needed. So it was the voice and the amplification to get new donors and to get the general community engaged. but then it was also working with media to
Mhm.
get stories out there and the press. And it was with small businesses and corporate businesses to provide matching dollars. And so it was this like real community, and then all of the civic organizations out there, the
Mhm.
chambers, and getting them all engaged. And that's what it grew into and continues to grow into. Also still led, I believe, by all women.
That's
um,
so cool. Yeah.
it is, it is. And
Mhm.
it was just, I think our ecosystem is naturally women, but it just takes these really amazing leaders who understand
Mhm.
people
Mhm.
and motivation and making things easy and connecting the dots. And I think that we are natural storytellers. And that's really the start of it. And now it's much bigger than it was that first year, and really not everyone knowing exactly what they were doing, but taking also it not having this level of ego of like we know exactly how to do this. Patsy and the early leadership brought in people from other communities who had been
Mhm.
doing this work, this collective giving work. And I think so much was born out of that, the collectivism of giving together. And so now they have Giving Tuesday, they have Amplify Austin,
Mhm.
and that's in the spring. And then Giving Tuesday is another community-wide campaign that they were able to uplift, or we, when I was there, able to uplift for the
Beautiful.
benefit of the community.
Mhm. Well, and Grand Rapids Giving Day was born out of, I mean, honestly, it was born out of that too. It was an idea that was kind of abstract and kind of hanging in the air. And then when I met Chelsea and learned of how, like, be able to learn from your wisdom, from your learning along the way, the mistakes that you made, the things that you did, it has saved us so much time and effort to be able to have that model. And then I will say too, Giving Tuesday has like welcomed me with open arms to be just a part of things. And that has been so cool. Just such a blessing. I love Giving Tuesday. I've been doing Giving Tuesday campaigns for over 10 years with different nonprofits. And I think it's my favorite day of the year because it's literally just focused on generosity. And I just get such a high just seeing people get so energized and giving and just so open-handed and the way that everyone's feeling. And so I love it. And to be a part of something greater like this is so meaningful. So thank you to Giving Tuesday for being so welcoming and for being so supportive of Grand Rapids Giving Day. I have a question for you. So would you say was your biggest challenge along the way with creating this citywide Giving Day?
That's a really good question. I think it was bringing people along and being able to um, understand the idea of how we can do more together than we could ever do alone. And I'm not saying that people weren't open to that, but it is certainly um, an interesting topic in our ecosystem of nonprofit community and sector. I think a lot of mindset is that it's competitive and
Mhm.
that you're all fighting for the same dollar, when that really it took a lot of not convincing, but just education on the power of thinking in abundant and
Mm,
thinking more that there's more out there. I always use this analogy as a fundraiser, and I've been doing fundraising for a really long time, was that it was always about how do I get a bigger piece of the fundraising pie,
mhm,
but something like an Amplify or Grand Rapids Giving Day or just these collective giving moments like Giving Tuesday is to show and to demonstrate that there are more pies out there and there's different kinds of pies. And it isn't
mhm,
about, working against each other, but working collectively. And that, the donor community is responsive. It's just
mhm,
about making sure that you're able to tell your story, that you have others involved and other ambassadors to support your story and are talking about your campaign. And that's really a lot of the giving days. are really lean on peer-to-peer
Yeah.
and ambassadors and people talking about your mission and your work and giving people the opportunity to use their voice to show their support for you. It provided that kind of megaphone, if you will, and then the training that came with it. And so I think all those pieces of bringing people together and understanding the collectivism, the power in it, and how this was additive and generative and not
Mhm.
subtracting and not a in competition. And so what we found with Amplify specifically was about the percentage of donations that were given on that day were so high in the new donor category that it really was kind of the game changer. So it was almost, there were people who definitely brought on early and bought onto it early. And then there were others who were like, okay, the proof has to be within the pudding. And
Yeah.
it was like, oh, all these new people are coming and they're making it
Mhm.
easy for them. And there's, like I said, all these other pies, but I would say bringing people along was probably one of the bigger challenges early on. Because at the time, giving days, though, weren't as prevalent as they are now. And it was, Amplify was starting around the same time that Giving Tuesday was starting too. So,
Wow.
I think
Wow.
it's
That's
people's favorite.
pioneering.
Yeah, it is. It is. It was,
Yeah.
it was, and it was, so it was new. And the idea of all of us being on one campaign and one website, how is this
Mhm.
going to work out? And
Mhm.
I'm a small organization right next to American Cancer Society or so,
Right.
like these really, or the Red Cross, how does that work? And it was about lifting all boats. Um,
Mhm.
and so I would say those are some of their earlier days that was the biggest challenge. And then, uh, but it just came down to, again, storytelling and education on how this is additive and this is about us working together. Um, and I think that collective efforts after that were much easier for organizations. It spurred on conversations about, like, okay, we're in similar service areas or service providing work.
Mhm.
How do we work together? We
Mhm.
certainly are hitting different clients, or if we're hitting the same clients, how do we work together to maximize our offerings? Um,
Mhm.
and so I think the beauty in that is kind of what we're able to tell new communities um,
Yeah.
who are thinking about doing this.
Yeah, and I'll say we've run into some of those same challenges for sure with just the idea. It's a new concept to our area for sure, but having Austin as a model to look at, as well as others, but definitely Austin because of the ties that we have, has been so helpful because we've been able to have that proof of concept that it really does work. You can actually build like a giant, huge pie that everyone can get a lot out of, and everyone can enjoy a piece of it that's bigger than what you could do on your own. And that's the message. Like you can really do so much more together than you can by yourself. And it's just very reassuring to hear that. And we've had the same thing where I know there's people watching, like, we'll see how it goes. And then next year, and I foresee that we're just going to grow and grow just like Austin did and all the other giving days did. So it's just really cool to have that model to lean on for us
And
as we're
and the history of it, and I
yeah.
get it. And then people, and I would say that for those who are going into it with the thought of we'll see how it goes, is to have a really open view of what this day could do for your organization and the other ancillary outcomes that
Mm-hmm.
could happen outside of that. And, many of the organizations in Amplify were able to receive new donations because they used fundraisers or amplifiers to help them with their campaign. But then they also, when donors were on the website and looking for other organizations that were in areas they were passionate about, finding them and finding new ones. And we had nonprofits finding new board members,
Yep.
finding that way. They, like I said, also understanding for some of the trainings that we had initially, these were the first times that some of these nonprofits were even getting together, or they knew about each other, but they were
Totally.
not getting together and
Mm-hmm.
having that space to understand of each other's work. And I think that was such a huge outcome before the day even
Mm-hmm.
happened. And I think so if it, the people are if anyone's watching who are saying, let's see how this goes. This is the first year. Remember, it is the first year. But if we were to stop after the first year, we would not get to $11 million on year five
Mm-hmm.
of Amplify. So it was, and then organizations using the day to complement other things they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the outcomes were far surpassed what that day actually did. If you do it right and cultivate those people that come
Mm-hmm.
through on days like Grand Rapids Day.
Yeah, we are seeing it already, the collaboration between nonprofits and like just yeah, we're already going to have some board offerings during the day because we're going to have an in-person event, like almost like an expo, and then we're going to
I
have some
love that so
training. Yeah,
much.
it's going to start the day with like training for the nonprofit leaders and then do the expo, do a fireside chat, and we're going to do a social enterprise pitch at the end of the day. It's going to be a fun day of fundraising. I told everyone we're not going to quit fundraising till midnight because we don't. We keep going. Even though we may leave the place together, we're going to keep going and keep going for our goal. So until midnight.
You got some of those late night, what's it called? Doom scrolling. Well, do something
Yes.
about it.
Yeah.
If you see something you're upset about, well then
Do
give and
something.
be a
Yeah.
part of the
Mhm.
solution. We did Amplify from 6 p.m. to 6 p.m. To alleviate, I think was like I don't think this was a foresight. I think it for some reason I don't remember why it was picked that time frame for the 24 hours, but I was grateful that I didn't have to stay up till midnight wondering
Yeah.
about how we were doing, but it
Mhm.
also adds to the excitement, especially if you have an event. And I'm really excited to hear that. We're seeing a lot of just across the country, a lot of in-person returning or in-person opportunities. I think people are just craving the sense of community
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
creating and craving community. And you're creating a new community. And
Mhm.
I think that having an in-person when you can is so powerful.
Yeah, I
So I'm
agree.
excited to hear that you're doing all of that and a pitch and all those other things. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
we couldn't do it without. We have an amazing team. That's the only way we're able to do it. Such an amazing team. All women except one man. So we don't want to leave him out. And he's rocking the social enterprise pitch, and we're so grateful for his support, Corey Hart. He's awesome. So
I love
Celeste, I
that.
want you to give us one more tip. Like, what are your top tips? A lot of the nonprofits that are involved with Grand Rapids Giving Day, this is actually their first Giving Tuesday campaign. So we
Okay.
are wanting to give them every resource, every idea. Could you share with us what are some of the key things that set an organization apart from others to stand out and to be successful on Giving Tuesday?
We hear this a lot of, doesn't matter what size organization you are. And also doesn't, I know that we're all stretched and there's lots of organizations probably that are participating that have limited or no staff. And, adding something like this can be, overwhelming, especially if you've not been part of one before. But I think that it is understanding again that this is iterative and that this is an opportunity to test. And this
Mm,
is an opportunity to understand that you are trying something new and giving yourself the runway to succeed or to learn from. And I don't say fail because you don't fail. When you do something, when something doesn't exactly end up the way you want to, you have learned so much in the process that is not a failure. Um, when creating the campaign, though, I think what's really important, number one, is setting a goal for what you want to accomplish on that day. And I'm not just talking about the binary goal of like, I want to raise $3 million.
mhm,
I want to raise $5,000. That's one goal. I want to get 20% new donors. That's another goal. But I'm
mhm,
talking about the other goals that come out of that. How does this service all the other goals that you have within your organization? Could this like be a complement to something else that you're doing? So,
mhm.
number one is setting a goal because I think what organizations do, especially with things like Giving Tuesday, is, oh, well, everybody's fundraising on this day. I'm going to put my link out there and a social media post, and the money's going to come in. And that's
Yep.
just not how it works. It's not a silver bullet like that. It requires work. So I think it's using the day with intention, but setting a goal because um, people who organizations who do that, then of course it's going to not work out the way you want it to work out, and then you're immediately going to dismiss it as it's the day's fault,
Mhm.
and there's too much noise, and it's not. It was a there was no plan. It was a plan to fail. But you still learn something, right? But I think with having a goal of like, what does breaking through the noise look like on the other side of the day to you? Not
Mhm.
that everybody in Grand Rapids is going to know your organization. That's not, unless you have a marketing budget the size of the Red Cross or something, which I don't even know if they have a huge marketing budget. That's not realistic. It's like, okay, I'm going to end up with, 10 new donors at the end of this, or I'm going to have collaborated with another organization for the first time, or I'm
Mhm.
going to do an event for the first time to have people come into our work. And
Mhm.
so I think it's just making sure that you know what you want to look like on the other end of this and measuring that goal. And the second thing that I would also say is engaging other people to talk about your organization and the campaign, your campaign, than just you as an organization. And that can be your board members, a couple of really key volunteers, your staff, using their channels. Um, there's many different people that you can tap, and you don't have to have a lot. I'm just saying
Mhm.
a few people who are generating content on social that is in their network, not just your network. So I think it's in goal, engaging others. And then number three is just keeping it really simple and making
Mhm.
it as tangible as possible. So
Mhm.
if you have an organization that has a lot of, excuse me, programming, um, that different programs. Is there a new program or a program, specific program you want to fundraise for? And then that makes it really easy and tangible and a story for for people to understand. Or is it a particular message like we want to clear our wait list and we need this much money to do that?
Mhm.
We want to
Mhm.
add this new van, or we want whatever it is, try to make it as tangible as possible and easy for people to connect the dots and understand. Statistics, we get like as fundraisers and as people within our mission, we want to say all the stats and how big the problem is. And
Mhm.
there's a time and place for that, but on giving days, people's attention span is this big. So, how can you connect the dots of what your organization does and how their donation can, with everyone else's donation, can make a difference? So, make sure your messaging relays that. I'm not saying don't use stats, but it's just that I get it. I've sat on every side of the table when it comes to fundraising and days like Giving
Mhm.
Tuesday, just making it really, really tangible. And maybe it's focusing in on something specific with your organization so that you can have a really easy story for people to understand. So, again, goal. Getting others to talk about you and your campaign, and it can just be a few people, doesn't have to be a huge team. And then number three, um, having something really easy and specific in your messaging and tangible of what you do and how people's donation is going to support that work. And all of that with a abundant mindset and an
Mhm.
open mindset. So that was a lot I just said,
Wonderful. It's such good advice.
but I feel like I'm like a grandmother of giving days. Like I've been doing this for so long,
Yeah.
and that I just what I've seen work, and the most important thing is just, well, those three things to me are those is to do that with a mindset of collectivism and abundance, and understanding this is something new and being excited about that and being a part of the story, I think is just beautiful.
Wow. I love that. Thank you so much, Celeste.
Of
Celeste
course.
Flores, Giving Tuesday Director for US and Canada, correct?
Correct. That
Yeah.
is true.
Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. We're going to share this with our nonprofits and we'll also put it out in the public as well. But thank you so much for just taking the time and sharing just your point of view and your perspective with your wealth of knowledge. We really appreciate your support and kindness as Giving Tuesday itself. And I look forward to, we're going to have an awesome Giving Tuesday. And I know we'll be in touch. And I can't wait to share this success with you and see what the next year holds for us.
I think that's the most exciting part, and having others, be a part of that planning for the next, the having others build it with you is so exciting and so fun. But I wish y'all all the best of luck. I know what it's like to get something off the ground, and thank you for your leadership and for your part in the network. Our network of leaders is just as much of learning things. It is like giving knowledge, and so we are really grateful for having you in the network and having Grand Rapids Day really have a uh, just a great start. I mean, what you guys have planned is so exciting. So I can't wait to hear all the things that are going to happen on that day. And so, like I said, there's the binary counting of things, but then there's also the stories that come out of the
Mhm.
day that are just as important. So,
Yeah, I think it's going to be magical, all the things that are going to happen. So I'm excited.
well, good
All
luck.
right.
And I look forward to seeing you on the other side of Giving Tuesday.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye.